machine that actually removes that from somebody for a specific period of time. Because the minute that's off of them, they heal. Because the life force comes forward, right, all the way to the present being and empowers it, feeds it, gives it light, life, vigor, expanded sense of presence. So naturally, life force flow is very natural. Ego is very unnatural. It's a constructed representation that is really a bad one of what's actually present and experiencing. Your mind hasn't experienced a damn thing. What can it tell you that's true? But your being is wise in all kinds of areas. Why? Because it's the thing actually having the experience. The mind is just a petty little asshole that's giving you opinions about all of it. Oh, he's a brilliant mind. No such thing as a brilliant mind. It's in the dark. It knows nothing. I've said it before, so it'll be redundant. It's a hammer. The mind is a hammer. It's designed to hit nails. It's not used to determine if you love somebody or not. When you go to hug somebody, do you hit them in the head with a hammer? Do you think about hugs, or do you give them? You know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I mean? So when you're looking at somebody, you don't smack them with a hammer, which means you don't go into your mind and have your idea of them. It's really all anybody's got in the mind is their ideas, their interpretations of what's happening, of why someone's doing what they're doing. That's it. It doesn't have any facts to back it up. Oh, here, I'll prove it. And I think everybody will realize this. Remember when the World Trade Center was hit? And we found out it was the Iraqis. Do you remember the conversations you heard about Iraqis? What it's like there, what the people do, what they're like, and nobody knew for sure. No one's been there. They don't know these people. They don't live next door to them. They don't know anything about them. But they're convinced these are nothing but rotten terrorists. How fucking stupid can people be? How programmable can someone possibly be? How much can you really throw your being out the window and believe a bunch of bullshit in your mind? How stupid. The Nazis did that. Those Germans were mincemeat. You don't think this is happening here? You have to believe that people in Iraq are horrible. Your heart says, no, they're not. They have kids. They're not mutilating their children. Maybe a couple of them are, but we're doing that here too. We got people going into schools blowing kids away. But we want to make it out to be that the people we can't see and don't really have any clue about are all bad. And believe it. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. There's no truth in it. We were convinced, everybody that had a thought about it, we're convinced that they knew exactly how the Iraqis were, what they do. And then, you know, what's so funny is when they find out they were driving around Land Rovers and BMWs and living very well. Freaks them out. They're like, whoa, what? Yeah, this was not, you know, some low-class place. This had the highest infant birth rate in that part of the world. Had the highest rate of literacy of any country in that part of the world. They were smart. They were good with money. They were getting along a lot better than they are now. But we're so convinced because our minds are so experts. We know what's right and wrong. We're going to tell you what it is. And we're not going to ever get into our heart and feel what we're doing. We're coming straight from here. Well, that's dangerous. Because that is coming at it very uninformed. That's going at it with nothing but blind rage. There is no satisfaction. There's no satisfaction in climbing any ladder to some social height, in being a rock star or a politician, or any of this stuff, or a person in a position of leadership. It brings you nothing. It just brings you more mental bullshit to block your actual being. The love is coming from the being, not the mind. The bullshit is coming from the mind. The whole trip with Carlos was to learn this. You've got two worlds going on inside of you. One is very beautiful, one sucks horribly. Put the two at odds with one another. Let them take it on, do the battle. Stop being the asshole who's convinced that their view of the world is the only one, or is right. Because the minute you're convinced you're right, the world loses all of its luminescence. The more you keep it a mystery, the more brilliant it becomes. I think that's what the guy means when he says, be like children. Because if you remember back when you were a kid, you didn't have a problem with any state of being. Except what you had a problem with, if you really look, was not your state of being. It was the chastisement you got for being in it. That's what bugged you. It wasn't the state. It was the crap you caught for being in it. The thoughts other people had about it. People who decided what your intentions were when you had none. What your ulterior motive was when you really didn't have one. Boy, you learned about it though. Created all kinds of ulterior motives, hidden agendas, and you poisoned yourself. Because you began to believe that the mind is correct in everything it thinks. That guy dresses like that, oh my God, he must be horrible. And they're convinced of it. And you know what the funniest part is? Is we think that that's injustice, that goes on. No, it's actually divine justice. Because anybody who's carrying around hate for someone else, the other person doesn't really know. It's not really damaging them. It's damaging the person who has it. And what is hate? The absence of love. Just like dark is the absence of light. So if you're going to live through the mind, you're in the dark. There will be no light. And love will be very hard to come by. True love, the one that satisfies you. I mean, this word is so weird. Love, life, satisfaction, well-being, all interchangeable. It's the same thing. We're talking about the same thing. Life itself. The flow. Where you smile. I mean, you've all had it. You're looking out over the horizon. And it's like you're staring at God. The mind likes to use that kind of stuff. But you're there. You're feeling that experience. You're feeling that part of, wow, this oneness is happening. You've all had it. Where was your mind then? Right? After a lot of, because he died 96? Yeah, 96.